we all have an emotional infrastructure. We all have different emotions that we go through, and how we process those emotions makes up what our infrastructure is. So for example, it is totally normal to get angry. It is normal to be sad. It is normal to be happy. It is normal to be anxious. It's normal to be afraid. But what happens when you are trying to become an emotionally aware person is you look at the ways you deal with happiness, sadness, depression, anxiety, all of these things that occur within the normal spectrum of human emotions, but how are you dealing with it? If you're getting so angry that you're punching holes in the wall, the way you're processing that anger is clearly not healthy. Anything that puts yourself in a dangerous position, whether that's breaking a hand or mentally just making yourself distraught because the anger is too much or you're not processing it correctly, it can become a real problem. The same thing goes for anxiety unchecked. The same thing goes for sadness and happiness unchecked. We don't want to be delusional about any of our emotions. Just because you feel so angry that you want to hit a wall does not mean that that's what has to go on within your emotions inside of you. Something is making you that rageful. And finding out what that thing is could be a challenge, because likely the things that are making you angry in the moment are stirring up other things. There's a saying that you can't stir up anger in someone when it's not already there. The anger has to sort of live there. The way of just lashing out and processing it in a violent way, that already lives there. So in order to not act that way, in order to get control over your emotions, you have to cultivate a power over yourself where you're able to pause, wait, and calm yourself down, because we are all built still like animals. There are things that trigger us, and they send us into one of these varying emotions that we can have. And when it sends us there too deep, it can inhibit our day-to-day life. It can inhibit how we treat other people. And so it's incredibly important to do some inventory. Check out what your emotions are doing, because before you can do any work on your emotions, you have to become aware of them. And that awareness means, how am I acting in these different situations? Why am I flying off the handle at this person who I don't even know that well? Well, quite clearly in that situation, you can look at the situation with your logical brain and say, wow, that person made me so mad, but the mad must have been already in me because I don't even know them enough for them personally to be making me mad. There's no trust relationship I have with this person. There's no communication really with this person, but this person's one action did something to make me mad. Well, that's because everything you observe in your life, every experience, everything you observe someone else go through, all these things start to take an inventory in our psyche. And they tell us little stories. Well, this person didn't look both ways before crossing the street, and they got hit. All these things go in our memory, and it might be the reason why 15 years down the road, you're still looking both ways, and you've looked 5 times, there's no car coming. We're very programmed. So over time, this compounds, which means that we might get to our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond, and still have not dealt with our varying range of the emotions that we experience day to day. It's like we just experience them, we give them a pass, and we keep going about our business, and we don't really change our habits, and our communication is starting to be impacted by this, because one of your emotions, if they go unchecked, will start taking over the other ones. If you're so fearful, you could develop anxiety, and it could be coming from things that you don't actually need to fear. Our brain has a really creative way of coming up with what we should be afraid of. And we then plop in this word doubt when it comes to being afraid of intangible things. I'm not talking about tigers jumping out from jungles and mauling you. I'm talking about that we get doubt over concepts, over trying things, and that is a real fear for us. But we have to do the work of looking at why we're feeling the way we feel, making sure we can even define how we're feeling, because a lot of times what happens, especially when people are experiencing anger, they only think they're experiencing anger because it's coming out as anger, but that anger is more so frustration for not knowing how you actually feel. And so this is something that's fixable. Maybe not in the moment where you're super wound up, but after. And you take time and you reflect and you look back and you say, was my reaction to that appropriate for what was going on in the situation? And if, for example, the situation is you're just getting in your car and you're low on gas, so you have to stop at the gas station, and that makes you punch your steering wheel. So that's obviously not the direction that you want to go with expressing your frustration in that scenario. And it can be anything where you're acting as if it is a way bigger deal than it is. It's a good indication that something is going on inside of you mentally. Something is bothering you and you have to search to find it. Nobody's going to find it for you. Nobody's going to make you happy for you. No one's going to make you successful for you other than you. No one owes you anything. You don't deserve anything other than what you're willing to do for yourself. You can't deserve the good graces of the world around you if you're not granting them to yourself. So that's some food for thought. Take inventory of your emotions. Keep them in check. It is okay to write them down. What are the main emotions that you feel in any given day? If you're seeing consistent things like pure sadness or unbelievable joy for no reason, guys, there is a reason. There's a reason why you're happy. There's a reason why you're sad. And there's a reason why if you take a log of the emotions that you're feeling and for 15 days straight you write rage or pain or emotional pain or any of those things, these are your warning signs. This is the time to look at what's going on, get that inventory down, because as you begin to work on your emotional awareness, you have to know where you're starting. You have to know where you're starting or we're never going to get where we're going. And a lot of times when I talk to people, they have all these aspirations of how they want to be, what they want to achieve, how they want to feel. But when I ask, what's going on with you right now? Well, I just want to be better right now. But tell me more. Tell me more. What's the real tea? What's going on? What is the truth inside of you? What is the main emotion you experience most of the time? You'd be shocked and amazed how many people just say, I'm exhausted. Well, there's a fix for that too. First, we have to figure out, are you physically, are you mentally exhausted? And yes, they both impact each other. So before you start work on yourself, you got to do the groundwork. And the groundwork is simply take that inventory. Write down how you've been feeling for the past month in general. And then starting today, move forward and write down how you're feeling every day. And then after you've got this log, so it's this data set, think about why. Don't think about why when you're writing it down. Don't talk yourself out of doing this. Write it down. Then we'll talk about why. We'll go over the main emotions that you might be writing down. And then we're going to start talking about figuring out why that might be the case. Now, I won't know exactly, why it might be that you're experiencing sadness or pain, but I can take you through a series of questions that will help you unlock that, because I can't do it for you anyway. No one can. And anybody that claims they can, they can't. It'd be nice if somebody could walk in and make us less angry or more joyful. But the truth is, that is 100% up to you, which should be good news, because it means out of all the things in the world that aren't in your control, this is in your control. So write those emotions down. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.